Sam Lammers, wind your neck in, man. Wind your neck in. Now, I'm not just going to be bashing Sam Lammers in this episode. That's not what this is about. I will talk about the Sam Lammers incident from the Hearts game the other night. And we're also going to talk, obviously, about all the latest news that is around Rangers. We're going to talk about Leon Balagan and sexy football. And I'm not talking about the fact that he nearly had his shirt ripped off him on Wednesday night when he nearly went topless Wednesday night. That's not the sexy football we're talking about. We're also going to talk about transfer rumours, a little bit of transfer rumours, according to a number of reports in the media yesterday and this morning surrounding Lawrence Shankland and Scott McKenna. And I'm going to give you my opinion on that. And also, we're going to talk a little bit, obviously, and look ahead to the fact that it's Friday already. It's Friday already. I cannot believe it. Where has this week gone? And we are getting ready to face Dundee at Ibrox on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff, where God intended football to be played on a Saturday at 3 p.m. When God created the world in 7 days, or 6, and then he rested on the Sunday, he said on a Saturday, and let there be football. That's what he said. And let there be Rangers football. Because we all know that God is a huge blue nose. We know that for a fact. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Sam Lammers. Yes, I know he's a man who can conjure nightmares. And I know this picture's not great. It's still that was taken from the telly the other night. So, Sam Lammers, he's a man who can conjure nightmares amongst Rangers fans. And I think by common consent has singularly proved himself to be absolutely useless and not up to playing for our great club. Yes, he scored that worldie against Dundee. And a lot of us thought that maybe, just maybe, that was the rebirth, the reawakening of Sam Lammers, but no, he's gone back to being Sam Lammers. What was it the other day again in that game against who was it again? I can't remember who it was against. They gave the ball away 14 times. 14, count them, 14 times. Oh yes, against Aris Limassol, that was it. 14 times in a single game. Absolutely shocking. We know how Sam loves to give the ball, doesn't love to give the ball away, how he repeatedly does give the ball away through some pretty awful play. He's a player who really plays inside himself and really does lack confidence. Lacks a lot of things, actually. But the other night, he really did wind up a lot of Rangers fans and ex-Rangers player Derek Ferguson with his actions on the field. Young Ross McCausland, who had had a pretty decent game on Wednesday night, was fighting and battling to get the ball and sent the ball forward long to Sam Lammers. Lammers jumps, flicks a header on to nobody. I think it was to a ghost player out on the right wing. McCausland was on the deck. He then has the brass neck to turn round and shout and scream and yell and have a go at young Ross McCausland. Yes, that's right. That's very right. That's just, I don't get it. I don't get how he can have the nerve to do that. I know that experienced players, which Sam Lammers is, have to have a kind of guiding hand over those young players to help those young players to develop. I understand that. But for me, Sam Lammers having a go at Ross McCausland, who in every game that Ross has played has contributed, has looked lively, takes players on, uses the ball well, scored a goal. He does basically everything that Sam Lammers doesn't do. And for Sam to turn around and shout and yell at Ross McCausland, to me, is completely out of order. Absolutely, fundamentally out of order. And I hope that Philippe Clement took Sam Lammers to task over that in the dressing room after the game. Because I'm sorry, Sam, but you're not entitled to have a go at anyone, especially not even Ross McCausland, who I know he's a young player. I know he's just coming through. I know he's just starting out in his career. But you aren't entitled until you actually start putting in a shift for Rangers and actually showing that you are a player that was worth £3 million, which at the moment you're worth about 3 and 6. You need to start showing that before you start having a go at our players. Our players actually care and try for our team, like Ross. Guys, come on, sort it out. Let's talk Leon Balagan now. Let's talk sexy football. And I know some female supporters, more male supporters, are I do find Leon Balagan quite sexy, I suppose, if that's the sort of thing you like. I don't personally, that's not my thing. But Leon Balagan was talking about sexy football. And he was talking about the fact that, you know what? Yes, they'd love to be playing sexy football, as it's termed. That Barcelona-esque, Manchester City-esque, although they lost the other day, didn't they? Football. He said he would love them to win with sexy football every week, to go out there, score 5, 6 goals, play, Olé football and rip teams apart. Of course we would. But he insisted in a press conference, talking to the media after that game, that, you know what, even ugly victories are just as valuable as those sexy football victories. He said some people thought we played really well, but I felt slightly different. I felt it was a mixed bag today. There were some really good bits. There were where we exploited Hearts. We should have scored a few more goals. No shit, Sherlock. There are a few moments where we had to hold our breath, and Tav had an amazing clearance, and Jack Butland has made an amazing save. You have to survive those moments. We weren't as composed, but the positives are we got the win. We should have scored more, but overall, we have great character building in the group. From where we have come from, we are having a good spell under the manager. I don't feel like anyone feels like we can rest. We have to keep building the momentum. So there's some encouraging words there from Leon Balagan. And we'll unpack those a little bit. He says there will be games that are less pretty and not as sexy, but as long as we are winning them, then everyone will be happy. Look, at the end of the day, yes, I'd love us to go out there and play teams off the park, score 4, 5, 6 goals. But Balagan is right in a lot of what he says in that comment. In that quote that he gives to media, Leon is pretty much spot on. Now, Leon was pretty immense on Wednesday night. And Leon, to be honest with you, when he was signed, I was very much of the opinion that he's a backup. And you know what? If Leon Balagan's playing a lot, we're in a lot of trouble. But I'll be honest with you, I was wrong. And I'm happy to admit when I was wrong. You know, all of those people out there that, you know, have a go at me for bashing Dessers or have a go at me for bashing Tav or whatever. You know what? I don't take any pleasure out of it. I would love all these players to shove these words down my throat, because if that's happening, then it's good for our team, and our team are winning, and that makes me happy. When Rangers win, that makes me happy. You know what? 3 things in life make me happy: Rangers winning, my girl's doing well, and other stuff I'm not going to talk about here on here. But there we go. Anyway, so let's just unpick what Leon said a little bit. He said he's right in what he said. Yes, they should have scored a few more goals. Yes, Leon, we should have scored a shed load more goals. It should have been 4-5 or even 6-0 on the night. We created a lot of chances. Yes, Hearts had their opportunities, but you're right, Leon. We should have been more clinical. Yes, Tav did pull off a great clearance, and yes, Jack Butland did save us again and again. You know, Jack Butland is, as we know, a phenomenal goalkeeper. Super Jack Butland in goal. And he's right. You know what? Character seems to be building. For me, there seems to be a kind of more of a unity, more of a team spirit in this team than there ever has been in the past. You know, you look at this group, and they just seem to have a little bit more belief. There seems to be more of an identity, more of a vision, more of a clear aim with what we're doing. If you go back to how it was at the start of the season, the Michael Beale, there was no identity, no aim, it was just nothing. It was just awful, absolutely awful. I mean, it was 11 individuals running around a football pitch looking like, well, they were lost. So at least we've got that. And yes, I think, you know, to hear a lot of players talking about character building and team building and all this is very positive. But do you know what? It tells me one thing. What a bloody awful thing to be thinking about now. You know, the fact that it's taken to this point for a bunch of professional footballers who get paid a lot of money to actually finally start playing as a team now under Philippe Clement. You know, there's a few of them, I think, that do need to take a long, hard look at themselves in terms of what they contributed in terms of the downfall of Gio and the downfall of Michael Beale. I'm not saying for a minute that Michael and Gio are the most amazing managers in the world. I'm not. Gio better than Michael Beale. At least Gio won a Scottish Cup and got us to Europa League final. But players do play a part. And look, unfortunately, a lot of time it is the manager that bites the bullet, and sometimes it is warranted, like Michael Beale. But other times it is the players downing tools, it is the players giving up, and it is the players having that serial loser, serial bottle job when things start to go badly. I don't want to be here anymore kind of mentality. And we don't need that. What we need is winners, fighters, battlers on that field. And hopefully that's something that Philippe Clement is going to develop with this current group of players. He's going to weed out the ones he doesn't want, throw them off to the side, get rid, and then bring in some more talent from outside to supplement this squad and really turn them into a squad that competes on a regular basis. Now, there's been a load of transfer rumours, hasn't there? There's been a lot of transfer talk over Lawrence Shankland, and we're going to come on to Lawrence Shankland shortly. And the latest rumours going around are over Nottingham Forest defender Scott McKenna, who is also obviously a Scottish international, having had 33 caps and a single goal for the Scottish national team. McKenna is obviously anxious to retain his place in the Scotland squad, with Scotland going to the European Championships in 2024. Now, it appears that Nottingham Forest have told Scott McKenna that he is surplus to requirements at the City Ground, and they want him to find a new club in January. So that's the talk. Now, if it is a case that Forest want to get rid and don't want him at the club anymore, then there is a real probability here that the price you're going to pay for Scott McKenna will not be what Nottingham Forest paid, and will not be certainly what he was previously valued at. It was an undisclosed fee, reportedly 3 million initially, which could rise to 6 million depending on appearances and other things, and also has a sell-on clause in it as well. So look, Forest may be looking to get back at least their £3 million for McKenna. McKenna has made in total 94 appearances for the Nottingham club, scoring 3 goals. Has now got experience of Premier League football. Previously he did start his career with Aberdeen, but we can't hold that against him. He's a centre-back. He's 6'2". He can play right side centre-back, left side centre-back. He is 27 years old. His full name's Scott Fraser McKenna. Now, obviously, with Rangers having a need to rebuild that defence, to retool that defence, there is a number of reports linking McKenna with a possible move to Rangers. However, look, I'll be open and honest with you at this moment in time. I think 3 million, 4 million, whatever it comes to, is going to be an awful lot of money to pay for a 27-year-old. Again, I don't see it happening. Why don't I see it happening? Because of the fact that there is a drive within the club clearly to set up this player trading model. For Niels Coppen to come in and have raw material to work with, Philippe Clement to develop that talent, and obviously Niels Coppen to then maximise the price of that talent in a later window. The issue you've got with McKenna is he's 27 years old. He isn't going to get any younger. He's not moving the peak of his career. We all know from looking at Borna, from looking at Tav, from looking at Goldson, the older defenders they lose a step of speed, they lose a step of pace. I personally can't see Rangers paying a lot of money for someone who is 27, nearly 28 years old. It just, for me, doesn't make any sense if you're moving into this player trading model. I understand you need experienced players. Yes, of course I do. But at this moment in time, we have a great deal of number of experienced defenders, and we're not going to get rid of all of them in one go. So I do think spending a great deal of money on someone like Scott McKenna would not be good business if you are going to go down the trading model route. If you weren't, then yes, he would be, I think, a decent buyer, a Scottish international, decent player. But I just think with the player trading model they want to bring in, he won't bring in enough capital value. And also the fact that realistically, is he really going to add a great deal for any longevity at the club? Would we not be better for going for someone who's 24, 25, 23, 24, 25, a younger player who we can develop and then sell on at a later date and still get a great return from in terms of performance? For me, that would kind of rule out a move for Scott McKenna. The other name, obviously, that is continually linked with Rangers is Lawrence Shankland. Now, Lawrence didn't have the best of games last night on Wednesday night in the Rangers Hearts game at Tynecastle. Of course, it does continue to be linked with the club. Now, reportedly, Celtic are interested in signing Bojan Majowski, which, I would love to see Rangers get Bojan Majowski. I think he's a very fine player. Shankland, as we know, is a Rangers fan. He scored 28 goals for Hearts last season. And a lot of analysts and people are talking about Shankland and the fact that if Rangers were to sign Shankland, it would help, certainly get them the goals in Scotland. Now, I think when it comes to Scottish players and when it comes to signing Scottish players, there has become an element of snobbery around it to some degree amongst some quarters within our fan base, that we shouldn't be going for Scottish players. We should be going for European players, South American players. But I do think that, in terms of developing this squad, if there is good young Scottish talent out there that is worth signing, like the likes of Lennon Miller, the likes of Conor Barron, then they're the sort of players we should be going for. Guys who know the league, guys who can hit the ground running in this league. And yes, I know you get charged a premium. Of course I do. Now, Shankland's a difficult one. Yes, he doesn't fit the player trading model because he's 28 years old. He's not going to get any cheaper, so any better. He's not going to bring any more money in. However, it is a position of need. It is somewhere we need someone who scores goals, and Shankland scores goals. Yes, for Hearts, so he doesn't have to contend with a low block, but I think with the creativity of the players we've got in this team, the Cantwells, the Seamers, the Matondos, the McCausens, there's enough chance creation there. And we've seen, haven't we, even against these low blocks, the amount of chances we've created but just not taken. Chances that I feel that Lawrence Shankland would actually take. Look, if we can get Lawrence Shankland on a cheap deal in January, which I know is going to be hard, Hearts are reportedly anxious to offer him a new contract, but he's only got 18 months left on his deal. So he's in a position where he has a bit more power. I think if he wants to force through a move, he could well do it. My personal opinion, and I'd love your comments on this, and I'd love if you disagree, please let me know why you disagree, is if we can get him for around about £1.5 million, £2 million maximum, then I think he is a good bit of business. We do need a striker that scores goals. We need someone who's a bit more clinical in front of goal. Shankland is a whole lot more clinical than Danilo, than Dessers, than Lammers, and is not as injury prone as Kamar Roof. So for me, if a deal is there to be done, like I said, no, he doesn't fit the player trading model like McKenna, but I just don't think McKenna's as good an option as some of the defenders we can get. Whereas Shankland knows the league, he'd score goals, and it was pointed out, in the paper the other day that the Rangers have had strikers from Scotland and had players from Scotland who've come on to do a really good job for the club. And we need to get away perhaps from that slight snobbery towards Scottish players, and actually pick them, sign them, and throw them into our first team and see what we can get out of them. Well, look, love your opinion. What's your opinion on Lawrence Shankland? Would you like to see him in our shirt, or do you think it's too late for him now? Let him carry on playing for Hearts. We don't care about Lawrence Shankland. Guys, that's it for now. Obviously, keep your eyes open, ears to the ground for any news coming out. We'll bring you any breaking news. We'll bring you any news. Obviously, Philippe Clement's press conference upcoming. We'll talk about that as well tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please help us to keep on growing. 4K by the end of the year is our target. So please smash that sub. And on the way out, guys, as always, please smash the like. It helps the video to grow. And please always remember, we are the people.